Back to the loss of an icon overnight with the death of 83-year-old entertainment Bert Newton. You know, we've seen a lot today from Bert's 60-year career on television and in his long run as host of the Logies. The memories on shows he appeared on, such as In Melbourne Tonight, The Don Lane Show, and his own nighttime and daytime talk shows, they're classically funny. And what an indelible legacy he has left. Bert will be honoured with a state funeral in Melbourne, and today his widow Patty was tearfully flattered by the outpouring of support for her husband.
All our hearts are breaking, but the outpour of love has been fabulous.
Apart from those incredible television moments, what has never got as much recognition or praise was Bert Newton's outstanding performances in dozens of stage productions. One woman who shared the stage with Bert is one of Australia's stage favourites, Lucy Durack, who starred as the Good Witch in Wicked with Bert as the Wizard. Lucy Durack, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Chris. So thrilled to talk about our wonderful Bert.
Yeah, tell us about Bert as a cast member. I understand you bonded so closely with him.
Everybody loves Bert. He was so kind to every single person. We toured the country with Wicked, and I had the pleasure of his company, and he was always so cheeky and so funny and so fun and so kind, so generous with his time. If anybody ever mentioned anything about a family member, he would get straight onto it and send them a gift or send them a message. Or it was my husband's birthday when we were doing the Perth season of Wicked, and he said, "Oh, what's his phone number?" And he called Chris on his birthday, and for Chris to get a phone call from, "Hello, Chris, it's Bert Newton here," it just absolutely made Chris's birthday. And that's just one of the countless things. I remember chatting to some of the cleaners around the theatres that we were working in. They said, "Oh, Bert has just gone and bought us all of this merchandise from the show, and he's given them drinks and chocolates," and he was the most generous person, but also just such a wonderful leader. Bert came into our company when the late, great Rob Guest passed away very suddenly.
Yep.
And the way that Bert held himself within our company was so sensitive and so humble, and so he was the absolute perfect person, because he just was such a natural leader. And I feel incredibly honoured to have known Bert.
But in terms of his skill on stage too, what wonderful stagecraft. He had superb timing, Lucy, and above all of that, he had pathos for the characters he played.
He did. Bert just had such a natural warmth that every character he played exuded that warmth. And he had that, his comic timing was second to none. And I remember watching him when he was in The Producers and thinking, wow, I couldn't believe how brilliant he was on stage. And I know that he was doing the shows in Sydney, and he was flying back doing GMA and doing it all, and, not missing a beat. And similarly in Wicked, he was just absolutely, he was so wonderful. I always used to think, because the Wizard, of course, is a little bit mischievous, but Bert brought so much pathos, and you really felt sorry for the Wizard, I think, when he played the Wizard, because you just couldn't hold Bert. He had his natural kindness and warmth came out in literally every single thing he did. And whenever we'd often at the end of the show, if there was a charity that needed funds raised, we'd do a bucket collection, and of course we would always say, "Oh, Bert, can you do the speech?" And his speech after the show would be every bit as brilliant as the show he'd just done. It would have us, everybody would be giving money and in new ways, and he would just keep leaving people in stitches. He always used to do this one thing where he'd say, before we go, I just wanted to shout out to the wonderful sound department. And he'd go on like that for a few things. Thank you very much and good night. But he'd always have little things like that he'd do at the end. He just made everything. He was the best. Nobody was better than Bert.
And in some ways, there was a great similarity between the kind of slapstick he did on 70s television variety programs and what he ended up doing and improvising on the stage in all of those productions.
Absolutely. And he was so cheeky. He would want to try and slip in different things every now and again, and he'd be able to get away with it because he was always so professional. But he was so funny. And I remember, many times we would just be like trying to hold it together.
I remember you talk about the producers. Mel Brooks, who wrote The Producers, I remember him saying, and this was a story that came out of America when he was still doing The Producers, that he was the best Franz that he'd seen in the world playing the production. What a rap.
I mean, not that I saw other productions, but I would 100% believe that. I remember seeing him and being absolutely blown away with him. And exactly what you said, Chris. All of those years and years of all that hilarious slapstick that he did with Graham Kennedy and Don Lane, and it all sort of, it was a lifetime of experience. That's the thing, is when you saw Bert on stage, you were watching all of his wealth of experience on stage in front of you. He never phoned it in. He was so hardworking that he would be on his game, and when he wasn't on stage, he would be backstage. And I kid you not, every single show he would be backstage handing around chocolates to everybody backstage.
I've seen it happen very quickly. And in 2014, you were both Moomba monarchs, right?
We were. It was what an honour for me to be sitting next to Bert Newton, being the Moomba King and Queen. I felt, hugely honoured. I am a Melburnian now, and I feel so proud to be one. And again, up there with Bert, who's just is Melbourne through and through. I think his heart really did beat for Melbourne. It felt wonderful, and being able to tour and just see the love for Bert as we were traveling down the street. Everybody loved him, and just being able to witness that firsthand was incredibly special. I hope I never forget that. And I remember his beautiful grandchildren come along, and they'd made T-shirts that said something like, "I went to Moomba, and my granddad was the king of Moomba, and all I got was this T-shirt." Things like that. Some of that as well. Made everything so much more fun and brought so much more joy than if he wasn't involved.
What an exceptional tribute from you. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Lucy. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much. He will be so greatly missed.